In the last video, I showed you how to make acrylic skin sunflowers. Today, we're going to be making acrylic skin poppies. To make acrylic skin poppies, you'll need to start with our freezer paper or silicone mat. If it's freezer paper, the shiny side up, so it'll be very easy to remove our poppies. Okay, to begin, I'm going to be using a couple of colors of red, a couple of colors of yellow, my primary and my light, and I'm also going to be using black. For my highlight color, I'm going to use orange, which is totally optional. I just like a little bit of interest to my flowers. And if you're going to make the leaves, you're going to need 2 colors of green. These are 3-to-1 acrylic paint to Floetrol on water, or you could use acrylic medium. And to begin, I start with my Purell red to do my outline. I'm just going to draw a circle or an oval, and then I'm going to add the petals around the outside. Every single one of your poppies will be different depending on how you make the petals. I'm going to go over these. It is very important that your outline or your outside of your poppy is thick enough, or it'll be very hard to remove the poppy from the paper or the silicone mat. So make sure you go over that and get your basic shape and get it thick enough so that you don't ruin the edges when you're pulling it off the paper later. Now I'm going to take my alizarin crimson, which is just a darker red, and I'm going to go over where the petals split. And that's going to give me some contrast so you can see the petals. And again, I'm just thickening all of that up so it'll be easy to remove from the paper. If it's too thin, you definitely will ruin your petals. So I'm just seeing where I want to put my paint, a little bit of highlight right at the top. You get used to it as you go. You kind of know where you want these highlights to go. So I am just adding some in different places. Now, I'm going to add some orange as highlight. I'm going to go ahead and put it in. It's not really strategically placed. It's just put in there in a few places that will add a little interest to our poppy, but it's totally optional. And then I'm going to add my primary yellow into the middle. So where you put the middle is going to be how you're looking at your poppy. This one's almost dead center, so I'm just showing you a face-on poppy. Turn towards you, and then I added a little bit of the lighter yellow. Again, it's just about interest. And then filling in with the Purell red again, I'm just going into the petals, filling in, being careful not to totally cover up my orange, and filling in my petals, leaving the crimson color exposed so I can have some delineation. Now I'm just filling in the middle with it. You don't want too much paint, but you definitely don't want too little. Now take your skewer, your good friend here, and just mix in your paint. It's almost like you're painting or drawing, but you're just mixing your paint for your poppy with the end of the skewer. See how just make the orange kind of blend in and just give that little bit of highlight and bring it into the middle. We're not done with our middle, but you're starting to see the flower form. Now, I want a little bit of extra Purell red on this petal. I just don't like the way it looks, and you can always add paint. You can take paint away. It's easier to add, but you can take it away with cotton swabs if you make a mistake, or a paper towel, or you can just erase it and start over. It's the good thing about there being paint. Now I'm going to take my black. This is just a Mars black, and I am going to go around my yellow with tiny dots. Now you do not want your black paint to be really thick. We talked about that in the sunflowers video. It needs to be not too thick and definitely not too thin. You don't want it to run. So you've got to get it out of the bottle. I'm just using condiment bottles. Now I'm just going to bring in the little black dots. Gives it just have a little bit of a stem like a real poppy does. And there we go. Now I'm going to take my yellow, and I'm just going to put out a little dot of yellow. It doesn't matter if it's dark yellow or it's a lighter yellow. And I'm going to take my skewer, and I am just going to do little dots onto the black. I just like the way it looks. If you look at a poppy, it's very hard to totally mimic one, but use it as a reference and you can get a good idea of what the poppy middle looks like. And all poppies are different. This is just a regular opium poppy, a red poppy. They do not grow well here where we are. It's too hot. We actually grow the Icelandic poppy, which is very strange now that I think about it, because it goes pretty good here. and that's usually a cold weather poppy. But they're still growing in the 90-degree and 100-degree heat we're having right now. So there it is. There is your red poppy. Okay, to do the leaves and buds, if you'd like them, I need them for my project, so I'm going to show you how to do them. This is a yellow Icelandic poppy. It's a very small, delicate poppy that grows pretty well here until it gets too hot. And they have very delicate leaves. Now, the red poppy has a little bit more robust leaf, but you can kind of get the idea of what a leaf will look like for a poppy and what a bud will look like. There's a little bud there as well. So we're going to be mimicking these for our project. So to make this, we'll need a couple of colors of green. Now, I will suggest that you add an acrylic medium, not Floetrol, to this. Now, this is just Floetrol and water, and it can be done, but your leaves will often be very delicate and hard to take off of the paper, and I will show you what that's like. But if you add something like an acrylic medium that's made for pouring, it will thicken it up and make it easier to remove from the paper. So what I'm doing is I've made a stem and I am putting on my leaves. As you saw, the poppy with its really small leaves, these we're going to make a little bit more robust because of the red poppy having the more robust leaves. And we're just putting V's out the stem and then extending the stem or extending the leaf on the end. So just really look at the V's. They're just V's. It looks like it's harder than it is. It's really not. Just a stalk and V's. And that's going to make it look like a poppy leaf for the red poppy. So, as you see, just keep on doing the V's. And you want it to be fairly thick. I'll go back and I will shore this one up a little bit because it will get hard to get off of the paper. And as you know, if you've worked with acrylic skins, they like to fold in on one another and then they get stuck together and you end up with a ruined product. So I'm going to make several of these leaves. They're a little bit hard to work with, but it's a fun project to do. Just kind of have to play with what your paint is like and what the consistency of your paint is. Okay, clean that up a little bit. You can use a cotton swab for that, and there's your leaf. Okay, so now to do the bud, it's pretty simple. You're just going to make a hook as long as you want it to be, and then we're going to add the bud on the end. And I'm choosing another color to show some interest. This is actually a metallic green. I had it handy. And I'm just going to fill in with my regular hunter style green and to do the bud. And then to shape it up, I can take my skewer and make it exactly the shape that I want it. Again, make sure these are not too thin. The stalk is awful thin on this one. You may want to thicken it up. It's better for it to be a little thick. You can always cut things down. You can't add to them. And the acrylic paint does not do well if you add to it after the fact. Just trust me on this. It likes to buckle if you add after the fact. For the other bud, we're just doing a Y. It's like a long-tailed Y, and then I'm adding some Purell red, and it could be crimson as well. It doesn't really matter what color red. This is a bud that is starting to open, and so it's just another bud that you can do. And then just take your skewer and add a little bit more paint to that, I think, because it needs to be thick enough to be able to pull it off of the paper without tearing it. And then I can just shape it up with my skewer and make it actually look like a bud that's about to open. And it's really just that simple to do it. And pull the red up and we're done. Okay, so I'm just going to extend this down just a little bit. And then I'm going to add a leaf to this bud. Now, I'll be honest with you, when you add leaves to buds into flowers, it makes them very hard to pull off the paper. Now, it's because they flop down and they like to stick to each other, but I'm going to go ahead and add a leaf to show you it can be done. You probably should do one separately and make it thicker. And again, add the acrylic pour medium to it, a professional one like Liquitex or Golden, because it will shore up your leaf and make it not so floppy and sticky. So I am taking a skewer and I am doing a little detail, and this detail probably will not make it. I can tell you that because it'll be awful thin, and when I go to take it off and use my fingernails to lift it, you will lose a lot of it. But that does not stop me from trying to make it look pretty on the paper. So I'm just going to go through and add a little more detail. But these leaves are very hard to deal with. The sunflower leaves are very easy. If you saw my last video, they're very easy to do. They're very simple, they're very fast, and they come off very easily. Leaves that are very complicated, like these are, they do not remove from the paper well. But I sure like to try. So if you want to give it a try, go ahead, but be aware they are harder to get off of the paper. Let me show you what the leaves and buds look like. They will need to dry for at least 24 hours before we take them off the paper. First, we are going to remove our poppy. You can see I have another poppy up here. Every poppy will be different and individualized according to how you make them. And so to remove it, you're just going to go around it with your fingernails, and they should peel up easily from the paper if you've made them thick enough. And there it is. There is the poppy, our first poppy of one of many that I need for a project I'm about to do. Okay, so now I'm going to remove the buds and the leaves. Now you notice I'm missing a leaf here. It had a little accident, but I've made another leaf and we'll take that one off in a second. Now we're just removing the bud, and it should come off in one piece. So I have to be careful because the stem is very thin. I'm going to put this down on the silicone mat. It's still a little bit sticky. Now as these age, they won't be quite as sticky anymore, but since they're newly done, they are sticky. Okay, so now I'm going to take off my other bud, and this one's going to be trickier because of the leaf, and I can tell you now, I'm going to lose a lot of that leaf coming up. So I'm going to try to make sure that this bud is going to come off, and not worry too much about the leaf because I can add leaves later. So just getting that off, and you can see that I'm going to lose a bunch of the leaf as I pull. Good intentions and all of that. So I'm going to go ahead and put that one down on my silicone mat. It doesn't look that great. I'm going to have to work on straightening that one up. Okay, so yeah. Now I'm going to go ahead and take the other leaf off and peel it off. This one I've worked on a little bit to kind of get it up, and I'm going to put my hand underneath it because you can just see how delicate they are. They're delicate in real life, and they are definitely delicate when you make them. So this is one of your harder leaves, the sunflower being the easiest leaf you probably can make. But I like to try new things, and if you do too, and you like to be a little frustrated making this kind of leaf, then go right ahead. I have to figure out where I'm going to place these, and as I do that, I will show you what we end up in the end, just a little bit of an arrangement. And you can see what I do with these in a full arrangement on the next video. And I will play with this a little bit, and you'll get to see how it looks. Okay, I think I'm about done fiddling with these leaves, and here they are. If you like this video, please hit like and subscribe and the notification bell to see what I do with these flowers on the next video. Thanks for watching.